Coming up in today's video, guys, we are talking about so much crazy news surrounding the WWE, Vince McMahon, and of course the Royal Rumble. A lot of people have some issues with WWE and Raw 30, and I'm going to break it down and try to offer some logical, reasons as to why it's not a big deal. First, we're going to jump right into it with Vince McMahon not running creative. It was reported that Vince McMahon was not actually backstage at Raw 30. And this is a very interesting thing because, as you guys know, Vince McMahon has not been showing up to WWE tapings as of late. But of course, with all of the news that, Vince McMahon was going to be coming back to WWE and running creative, that doesn't actually appear to be the case. Now, we do know that it's been said that Vince McMahon has offered suggestions to Triple H, but obviously Triple H has the final say, as head of creative. But also at the same time, too, it's really important that people understand that with Vince McMahon not running creative, he still is the chairman of the company. And if he wants to become creative, if he wants to become the head of creative, he can easily make that decision. And yes, he might get a lot of pushback, but technically Vince McMahon is in charge. And right now, regardless of what people are saying on the internet, whether we like it or not, technically Vince McMahon could make any sort of change. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up and the reason why it's so important for me to bring up is because WWE Raw 30 was a night to celebrate the legends. And then, of course, WWE used it as an opportunity to help build up the up-and-coming talent. So with WWE going in this direction of having such a special show, it was very intriguing to me to see that Vince McMahon was not part of it in some aspect now that he's back in the company. Nonetheless, if you are somebody who is happy that Triple H is in the head of creative position, then as of right now, you should not worry. It appears that WWE is still looking at getting a sale done. TV executives believe it could take a little bit longer than normal, which is pretty normal, but nonetheless, as of right now, we are safe from Vince McMahon running WWE creative, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I want to turn our attention to the legends that turned down WWE Raw 30 because this is actually a pretty big deal. A lot of drama surrounding who was on the show and who wasn't on the show. Mick Foley came out. He had a very busy schedule, so he politely declined. But of course, there's more to it. There was a lot of people who showed up on the show, but more interestingly, there was tons of people who were not referenced on the show or did not show up. Now, if you guys didn't know, WWE had a little bit of an issue during WWE Raw 30. They had to call an audible because some segments took a little too long. And fair enough, shit happens. It's live television, whatever, it's just kind of the way it is. However, nonetheless, the real thing here that a lot of people are missing out on is that WWE Raw, having 3 hours, I think, is actually the concern, right? Segments could go long, but in general, a 3-hour show, it's almost like, why couldn't you fit something in there? Well, the Bellas spoke out. If you guys haven't been watching the shorts content on the channel, I posted the clip. The Bellas called out the WWE for not talking about Paige or Mercedes Moné, not having a reference to them, not having the Bellas on the show. They didn't turn down WWE Raw 30, and they're outraged by this. And then you have Mick Foley and other people who did turn down WWE. For example, Tatanka, he turned down WWE Raw 30. So did, there's been a couple of situations where people just couldn't make it. And then you have the people who were supposed to be on there, weren't on there. It became this huge mess. And I think the biggest thing here that a lot of people need to also understand at the same time is it is wrestling, and there could very well be a good chance that some of these people that you didn't see at Raw 30 very well could be a surprise at the Royal Rumble from the men's and women's side. So I think that is incredibly important to mention because when you're having all these legends show up literally the week before the biggest pay-per-view, for surprises, I mean, it does get to a point where it's like, you kind of have to balance it. Me personally, watching WWE Raw 30, I thought it was a very solid show. I think they could have done without Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was never really synonymous with WWE Raw. So at the end of the day, I get it. You bring in the big names, you try to get at the viewership and all that stuff, but you could have done without that. And of course, we didn't see Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock. There's probably a good reason for that. But of course, you just got to stay tuned to WWE Royal Rumble to see exactly what's going to go down. And that's going to bring us to our main event of today's video, the final topic of today's video. And it's a big one. But first, Guys, if you're not subscribed on this channel, click that subscribe button and ring the bell. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on everything happening in pro wrestling, and this is a big one because WWE is planning huge surprises for the Royal Rumble, and this is the best part of it all. When I think of WWE Royal Rumble, I think of the surprises, and I think just like many of you, you think of the surprises as well. And truth be told, when it comes to these surprises, I have thought for a very long time that WWE was kind of slacking. But now, it doesn't actually appear to be that way because WWE has some tricks up their sleeve, and now I'm really intrigued. The idea that we can see people from New Japan, Pro Wrestling Noah, Impact Wrestling, NWA, free agents, the idea that some people will be making their debut or the return to the company is absolutely insane, and there is this huge belief that right now, the reason for the lack of surprises for Raw 30 was because of the Royal Rumble and the fact that WWE has something major up their sleeve. Now, for those who also didn't know, Fightful Select dropped a very interesting report yesterday about Stone Cold Steve Austin being offered a very big offer to compete against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. However, this is where things get a little bit interesting for me. And it's not that I don't believe Sean Ross Sapp and Fightful Select. I think they do a hell of a job. But I also think whatever, and I've talked about this before on the Slam, maybe it was episode 1 or episode 2, the WWE and AEW, when some stories leak, I think it's a smokescreen. And we have seen this time and time again with Edge and with CM Punk returning to AEW, and so many people, Cody Rhodes, we saw the whole debacle that it became, oh, Cody Rhodes is not coming to WWE, he is coming to WWE, everything's fixed with AEW. It was all bullshit, so that way Cody could come out and compete against Seth Rollins. We've seen this time and time again. I think this is exactly the same situation. I still 1000% believe that The Rock is... I think he's working WrestleMania. That's just an assumption. That's a guess. I don't have a source telling me this. But I think we see The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin at the Royal Rumble to set up their own respective programs. And I think that would be massive. And with WWE planning these massive surprises and very few people actually announce for the match, it makes it so much more incredibly fun to kind of guess who is going to be in it and who's not going to be in it. And look, if it's Stone Cold versus, Roman Reigns, if that actually went through, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But at that point, if it's not The Rock and Roman, it's got to be Cody and Roman, or even Sami Zayn and Roman. WWE could be opening up a huge mistake. They could be having a huge mistake, honestly. If they do not give Sami Zayn or Cody Rhodes the opportunity, if The Rock doesn't show up, that could be a lot of blowback. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. I appreciate all of you for stopping by and watching this video. I'll see you next time.